I'm Chris Fredericks of Transport and Omnibus Workers Union. I'm the National Sector Chairperson.
I'm Semi Ramalope. I'm the President of Tirisano Transport and Services Workers Union, known as TAS.
My name is Ivan Jim. I'm NUMSA General Secretary.
My name is Solomon Matlangu. I'm a Satawu National Coordinator.
Tutuzi Nkosi NUMSA.
Gideon Maleka, Satawu.
Temba Kyanji, I'm NUMSA, Sector National Chairperson.
Thank you. Okay, so of course you are here as media to get an update on the latest on the bus strike. I will ask Comrade Ivan Jim to please lead that process. Thereafter we will have a round of questions and then we'll take it from there. Comrade Jim.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I think I should join Pagamile for tendering an apology to the journalists this afternoon. This press conference was supposed to resume at 3. I must say that we have got a huge difficulty in our hands. Basically, we received an offer yesterday, which we were forced to take to our members before we can announce it. It's an offer of 9% for the first year, 8% for the second year. All other sticky issues, such as the night shift allowance, such as the dual driver, such as the insourcing, those matters are taken to a task team. And basically, we ensured that there is a wording that enable us as unions that are in this strike to be able to, in case we do not reach an agreement, we can embark on a legal action or take those matters to court. We had to go back to our members, for our members to give us a mandate about the future of the strike. And I must communicate that the difficulty we confronted with now is the difficulty of us being plunged by employers. In that traditionally in this sector, once there is a settlement, employers would agree to backdate such an increase from the 1st of April in this case. The backdate, which is a sticky issue now, is supposed to be on the 1st of April. Generally, we can say that workers are in agreement with the offer on the table. However, as things stand, workers in their majority are very resolute and very firm that they want the back pay to be paid on the 1st of April. We delayed this press conference. Today we're supposed to announce an end of the strike. However, we are not in a position to do so. We have communicated to the employers to say, can they come to the party and basically come up with an agreement with us on the back pay for workers. And they have been debating among themselves this afternoon, which is why we delayed. From this press conference, we will be communicating with them, looking as to whether are they willing to move. And at the same time, we will also have thorough discussion with our members on this question, where in majority of the unions, I think we're receiving some different signals, some workers are of the view that maybe we should settle, but the majority of workers are saying, look, we want the back pay, which places us in a very difficult situation to just end the strike of workers without workers having considered. So we got a difficult task in our hand. That task is to push employers to pay the back pay over this, to agree to pay the back pay over this weekend. And secondly, we will also be engaging with our members to see whether they can be persuaded differently. As things stand, that's where things are. I'm not sure whether I'm leaving out anything.
No, you've covered all the things. Yeah.
All right. Do I have a round of questions from anyone, please? And then, as you ask your questions, please give me your name and the name of your media house. Thank you, Crisalva.
Good afternoon. It's Crisalva Lewis from SABC Television. Just some clarity again, given all the negotiations that have taken place. The employer
is still wanting to date back until when, given that you are asking for the 1st of April. And, I think of greater concern now, as we've been speaking to those who are affected within the sector, it really is, I guess, a cry for help from those within the bus sector. I mean, they've not been paid. It's been a long time now. And I guess, what would the next option be then if the employer does not seem to budge on this particular aspect? On the other issue of the other outstanding issues, the dual drivers, where does that stand? Is that one of the issues that has been referred to the task team? And how many days has been given to address that issue? Thank you.
Anyone else?
Well, I think the issue about the back pay, we expect employers to pay is from the 1st of April this year. In other words, the settlement we're receiving, we're saying they must pay it from the 1st of April. Because traditionally, that's what has been a custom and practice in the sector and across all various sectors. And in our view, this attitude that has been endorsed by employers is provocative and, to be honest, completely not sensitive to our communities that are affected, let alone how it has got a serious creating of an anger to workers who are already losers, to the extent that there's no work, no pay on the sacrifice that they are doing. And some people can take calculators, for instance, which is also another big challenge, to say which is the current status position of employers in relation to this, is that if we were signing today, it would have meant that this increase will only be effective from today. And some people pick up their calculators, they say, you're saying you're giving us 9%, but that's not really a 9% if you're looking at if employers are not back paying, which create all sorts of problems for this particular settlement. So that's that's why there's a sticky issue in relation to the backdating. What is the next option? Well, we're saying the next option is for employers to stop being greedy, just to accept that they must give workers this back pay amount of money. It's not. We're talking about 17 days. You want to plunge the whole industry. Well, it's only 17 days that we're talking about. And to be honest, not all workers will necessarily benefit out of this, which is why we're saying we're going to have a very serious debate with employers to come on board, that this is just cheeky, this is just silly, this is like a kind of a bashing attitude towards workers. And if we need stability in the industry, this kind of an attitude, it is completely unnecessary and it is not needed. I think you raised an issue around other outstanding issues. Well, let's take the issue about the night shift. The night shift is a big issue for us. And we have done everything to persuade employers. First, these employers' stance is about contracting out of BCA, which basically grant workers the right to be paid a night shift allowance when they work in the evenings. And they're refusing to do that. And they would have been in the past argue that one or two unions would have signed and contracted out. But as things stand, as you see, I think one of the things that we are celebrating is the fact that all unions in this sector, NUMSA, Satawu, and all unions that are here, we stood together in the interest of saying enough is enough. Workers in the bus sector deserve to be paid a night shift allowance. And that's why we said it must be in the agreement and we will never pull back. You would be shocked with the kind of irritation that employers were telling us yesterday. They were telling us this is very expensive. In fact, it's about 12%. And in fact, per annum, this will cost about 22 million. Meaning that there's 22 million of our members, money that is due to them that they deserve to have, which employers are holding back. Which is why we're taking it to a task team. We will be going back to the Department of Labor to say there's no longer an agreement now that exists. This is an issue of enforcement. A dual driver, if you're driving from Johannesburg to Cape Town, you are a driver, you left your family, you deserve to be paid. Immediately you are in the bus. And these employers, in fact, some of them said, this is not our problem. Some employers are paying their bus driver immediately they get into the bus. But there are those who say, listen, we will not pay. As long as you are in that bus, you are not having your foot on the pedal, we will not pay. And that's what we reject. And we think if we have a government that was also decisive, that was serious about road safety and well-being of workers and communities, this is an issue that government as well must intervene. And part of what we think we will do collectively as union will also to have a discussion about the future of this industry on how these issues that government itself need to intervene to ensure that we don't just have unnecessary strike that are plunging communities as our communities have suffered in the recent past.
Any other questions?
Good afternoon. My name is Mufem from SABC. This issue of backdating, what reasons are advanced by the employers for wanting to backdate? I mean, when you look at it, it's basically 1 month going back to April. And the second question is, are we going to face a possibility where maybe the employers will say, because you're not accepting now, we are going to withdraw this offer and you're going to have to start again from scratch?
Well, I must say that as unions, we stand together with our members. We sometimes perish with them. We will not be blackmailed by employers. There's an offer on the table. If they choose to go back to their notorious tendencies, they will do that at their own peril. We're not here now to mobilize for a continuation of a strike. We're here, we're saying employers must come to the party. Let's end the strike, pay workers the back pay. This is what workers want. And really, we do not think that we will be provoked. And I must say that workers have been having a very peaceful strike. In our view, if employers were to take that position, that would be a reckless, provocative stance that they will be taking. From where we're sitting, workers remain united as a rock across the 9 provinces behind their strike. It will be stupid of employers to do so. And that is why we're saying we are going to persuade employers to come to the party. At the same time, we'll also have a discussion with our members, because to say the honest truth, this is selfishness on the part of employers. It is basically gambling about the lives of the working class who are basically directly and negatively affected by this strike. They don't care because it is our Black and African communities who basically have no reliable public transport to go to and from. And we're saying, look, this strike must come to an end this weekend. Employers must help us to do so. We'll also be engaging with our members to look on every avenue. And if employers are thinking that, look, it's hostility because they want to punish workers, that would be a very, very inferior kind of a thinking, because these workers are going nowhere in this industry. We are united as unions. We're going to be strong. If employers are going to show that attitude, it will also mean that we must plan and see to it, how do we become spiteful for them next year? I mean, the bottom line is that we have not taken this strike during Easter's, which is something we did last year, because we feel for our communities. But I must tell you that the kind of this attitude is actually hardening the attitude of our members to say, you see, we should have struck during the Easter weekend so that employers can actually have the real losses. And this is not what we think. And we think that that's why we're saying government need to come to the party. We need to make sure that this industry, because it is transporting our communities, government must come to the party around incentives, around subsidizing this industry to make sure that we have a reliable public transport, and workers who basically transport workers to and from home are not robbed broad daylight. They are night shift allowance, and if you're a dual driver, you must be paid what you deserve. And we actually want to tell employers now that they must begin to budget for the money which is in their pocket, that it must go back to people who deserve, which is workers.
Last round of questions, please. Okay.
Have the employers responded to your stance right now?
Well, the difficulty this afternoon, is that we're not negotiating with them direct. We will phone one of them who's basically talking to the rest, trying to come to the party. And I must say that from where we're sitting, we don't think that employers are united on this, but there must be notorious, verkramte, conservative individual employers who are basically arrogant, who are spiteful. And I mean, there's absolutely no reason. This is open provocation. That's how we see it. And we will be requesting them to meet with us very soon, tonight or in the morning. But also, there are no holy cows. Ourselves as unions, we must take a reflection on this question, because it will mean that continuing to punish our community for a back pay, that's the issue now of about 17 days. That's the predicament we're sitting with. But this strike does not belong to us. This strike belongs to workers. We can only persuade workers. We can only engage them. And but these employers, they must also know that as workers feel that they are losing, they are actually making these workers to be militant, to be ready for battles ahead. And what we really celebrate this year, we celebrate Satawu, NUMSA, and all other unions that are here, that we stood together. We didn't allow these employers to divide and rule. And our view is that it will be important that in ending the strike, as unions, we must stand together. Workers must go back to work united and be ready to face the future battles.
I'd like to invite any of the leadership from the other trade unions if they'd like to add to what the GS of NUMSA has said.
No.
Before we wrap this up.
No, that's the position of labor. We just stop there. Nothing more.
Well, in that case, we want to thank you once again. Thank you for your patience and for coming out. Those of you who would like quick one-on-ones, please come to me now and we can arrange them. Thank you so much. That's the end of the press conference. And there's food. The food has arrived.
Switch off, but don't you know? Yeah, kept too late. Yeah.